Jimmy Carter, the former U.S. president, has died at the age of 100. The Democrat served one term between 1977 and 1981 and had the longest life of anyone to hold the office. Chip Carter, the son of the former president, said his father died around 3:40 p.m. local time at his home in Plains, Georgia, where he had been receiving hospice care. It was where he and his wife, Rosalynn, who died aged 96 in November 2023, spent most of their lives, the Carter Center said. Mr. Carter won the presidency in the wake of the Watergate scandal and the Vietnam War, and became known as a global humanitarian after leaving office. Chip said that his father was a hero, not only to me, but to everyone who believes in peace, human rights, and unselfish love. He added, "The world is our family because of the way he brought people together, and we thank you for honoring his memory by continuing to live these shared beliefs." A state funeral will be held for Mr. Carter on January 9th in Washington, which will also be a national day of mourning. President Joe Biden called fellow Democrat Mr. Carter a dear friend. Today, America and the world lost an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian, he said. Over 6 decades, we had the honor of calling Jimmy Carter a dear friend. But what's extraordinary about Jimmy Carter, though, is that millions of people throughout America and the world who never met him thought of him as a dear friend as well. With his compassion and moral clarity, he worked to eradicate disease, forge peace, advance civil rights and human rights, promote free and fair elections, house the homeless, and always advocate for the least among us. He saved, lifted, and changed the lives of people all across the globe. He was a man of great character and courage, hope and optimism. Former President Bill Clinton paid tribute to Mr. Carter as someone who lived to serve others until the very end, while President-elect Donald Trump said he had done everything in his power to improve Americans' lives. Known for his work ethic, the 39th president continued to conduct diplomatic missions into his 80s and built houses for the poor well into his 90s. A peanut farmer by upbringing who was deeply committed to his religious faith, Mr. Carter once said, "My faith demands, this is not optional. My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I am, whenever I can, for as long as I can, with whatever I have to try to make a difference." A moderate Democrat, Mr. Carter entered the 1976 presidential race against Republican Gerald Ford as a little-known Georgia governor with a background in engineering. He was swept into the White House off the back of a no-frills campaign that depended on public financing and a promise not to deceive the American people that resonated following Richard Nixon's ignominious departure from office in 1974. Mr. Carter governed amid Cold War pressures, turbulent oil markets, and social upheaval over racism, women's rights, and America's role on the global stage. He was the first president since Thomas Jefferson under whom no blood was shed in a war. His most notable achievement in office was a Middle East peace deal that he brokered by keeping Anwar Sadat, the Egyptian president, and Menachem Begin, the Israeli prime minister, at the bargaining table for 13 days in 1978. That Camp David experience inspired the post-presidential center where Mr. Carter would establish much of his legacy. Yet his electoral coalition splintered under double-digit inflation, queues for petrol, and the 444-day hostage crisis in Iran, triggered in the wake of the country's 1979 revolution. His bleakest hour came when 8 Americans died in a failed hostage rescue in April 1980, in the lead-up to the election, helping to ensure his landslide defeat to Republican Ronald Reagan later that year. Following his departure from office, the Carters founded the Carter Center in 1982, positioning themselves as international peacemakers and champions of democracy, public health, and human rights. The center's achievements included easing nuclear tensions in North and South Korea, helping to avert a U.S. invasion of Haiti, and negotiating ceasefires in Bosnia and Sudan. By 2022, the Carter Center had declared at least 113 elections in Latin America, Asia, and Africa to be free or fraudulent. Recently, the center began monitoring U.S. elections as well. In 2002, Mr. Carter won the Nobel Peace Prize, with the committee citing his untiring effort to find peaceful solutions to international conflicts, to advance democracy and human rights, and to promote economic and social development. In his later years, the former president spent his days in the same one-story Plains house he had lived in before he became governor. He regularly taught Sunday school lessons at Maranatha Baptist Church until his mobility declined and the coronavirus pandemic raged. Those sessions drew visitors from around the world to the small sanctuary where Mr. Carter will receive his final send-off after a state funeral at Washington's National Cathedral. The New York Times reported he died after deciding nearly 2 years ago to forego further medical care following a series of medical crises. In 2010, he returned to the White House to greet President Barack Obama and discuss international affairs amid rising tensions on the Korean Peninsula. In 2015, he revealed he had cancer which had been diagnosed after he underwent surgery to remove a small mass in his liver. Mr. Carter underwent immunotherapy and radiation therapy before announcing in March the following year that he no longer needed any treatment. Former First Lady Rosalynn Carter, the closest advisor to Mr. Carter during his term as U.S. President, died in November 2023. She had been living with dementia and suffering many months of declining health. Rosalynn was my equal partner in everything I ever accomplished, Mr. Carter said in a statement following her death. She gave me wise guidance and encouragement when I needed it. As long as Rosalynn was in the world, I always knew somebody loved and supported me. Leaders pay tribute. The king said he remembered Mr. Carter's 1977 visit to the UK with great fondness and praised his dedication and humility. In a message to President Biden and the American people, he said, "It was with great sadness that I learnt of the death of President Carter. He was a committed public servant and devoted his life to promoting peace and human rights. His dedication and humility served as an inspiration to many, and I remember with great fondness his visit to the United Kingdom in 1977. My thoughts and prayers are with President Carter's family and the American people at this time." Sir Keir Starmer said, "Motivated by his strong faith and values, President Carter redefined the post-presidency with a remarkable commitment to social justice and human rights at home and abroad." The Prime Minister added that Mr. Carter lived his values in the service of others to the very end. David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, described the former president as a lifelong champion of rights, democracy, and global health. World leaders across Europe also paid tribute, with Emmanuel Macron, the French president, saying Mr. Carter had been a steadfast advocate for the rights of the most vulnerable and has tirelessly fought for peace. Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, said Mr. Carter served as U.S. president when Ukraine was not yet independent, but his heart stood firmly with us in our ongoing fight for freedom. We deeply appreciate his steadfast commitment to Christian faith and democratic values, as well as his unwavering support for Ukraine in the face of Russia's unprovoked aggression, Mr. Zelensky said on X. The Carter Center said that the final arrangements for the former president's funeral were pending. The Carter family asked that donations be made to the Carter Center in lieu of flowers. The 39th U.S. president is survived by his children Jack, Chip, Jeff, and Amy, as well as by 11 grandchildren and 14 great-grandchildren.